Guillaume, thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. You are the founder and CEO of LiveMeUp, a startup that is working with helping merchants, brands go live and sell live. Very excited to be talking with you today about the live shopping scene, everything that you're experiencing as a startup CEO in this space, but also get a little bit more into your background, which I believe is uh, influenced heavily by long years that you have spent in China, where I'm sure you've
Oh,
had a lot of experiences with
uh,
live shopping and the
uh,
boom that happened around it. Maybe you can
uh.
give us a little bit of background and what led you to now start Live Me Up.
Mm. Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Moritz, for having me on your podcast. I've seen the previous invited, and it's a very nice, lineup. So congrats, you're doing a great job. So very happy to be with you today
Thanks.
for this hour. Live Me Up was not born randomly. With a sudden idea. It's because my co-founder Alex and I previously we were working in China, and we spent many years working in Beijing and Shanghai, and down the road, being exposed to the very early hours of live shopping. It dates back from 2017, if I don't say any mistakes. And I was working with a French retailer, and our joint venture partner was Alibaba, that you know for sure. And in 2017, they came to see us and just showed us what was a video on a smartphone with a add to cart, and we found that revolutionary. And in my mind, I had a click, and I figured out that's going to be one way or another way the future of e-commerce. I'm a merchant since I was born, and by a family heritage as well. And so I'm very curious about everything about commerce and the way it evolves over time. And so then, it's been almost 10 years. You can believe that. And we're still asking each other if live shopping is a thing or not a thing. And then now in China, it's like a routine, way of selling and accounting for a big chunk of the e-commerce revenue. But still in the good old Western Europe, it's like, I don't know, maybe not. But I'm sure we'll have time to speak about that.
Yeah, for sure. But first, let me get a little bit more into your first experience back in 2017. That I think was about 1 year maybe into the very first live selling events. I think it was 2016, maybe the 11/11 sales. That was the very, very first live. So you got a glimpse into the future before
Uh,
most people in the West did. You said it clicked instantly. What actions did you take after that? Follow the trend quietly and how it slowly but surely gained momentum in China? Or were you trying to jump on this bandwagon as quickly as possible? How did you build that into your plans for future career and future endeavors?
Now, I mean, the thing is that when I saw that, I imported that in my retail company. And so immediately we jump on it, and we set up a task force with Alibaba in China and in Europe, and we talk with them, and we rush, and then it was like probably 2 years later, like 19, ahead of the COVID, and we hosted the first live streaming experience on my the e-commerce website of the French retailer. No, so it was quick, and I really jumped on it. I was very, very shocked, very amazed by the traffic that actually Alibaba Live. Actually, it was Taobao, Tmall, and I was very amazed by the traffic that they were generating. And at that time, the algorithm was close to none. There was just pulling by hand those viewers onto any given live streams. So I was my eyes like I was like a kid, viewing the traffic on those live streams. It was
Do you remember how much it was back in the
no,
day?
it was like 15,000 people in 1 hour, and for a website that usually would receive a couple of thousands of people per day. So it was like 10x, 20x, 30x within an hour. So it was really shocking. on a good way. But then the negative way is that once I was in charge of the business for that French company, and I was curious about the metrics, the KPIs, and the numbers. And then I was asking those friends at Alibaba, would you mind giving me my numbers? No, you got to pay. I got to pay what? I got to pay what? You got to pay to have the numbers. I say, oh, come on. No, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. And so that day I've decided to launch LiveMeUp and to build the technology myself and to especially build that technology for mid-market. I would say SMBs, small and medium merchants, because I understood that the way the Chinese were rolling out the tool was built for big companies, marketplaces, and so on, and in a way they would jeopardize the websites that we knew back then in Europe and the way people were making e-commerce. And so that was the trigger for me to build LiveMeUp.
And what year was that you decided,
Well,
okay, this is something that I have to bring to the Western markets?
2020, I've decided. I quit my job, took a big risk. I'm still taking big risk today. In 2021, we incorporated the company. We spent a year to build the platform. It was crap at the beginning, we were doing everything by hand almost. And 2023, we've decided to focus on Shopify and to really become serious about building a real product. And 25, we have a bit more than 1,000 merchants today using our tech every day. Not every day, every week, every month, every day. A big part in the US, the rest in Europe. And so we're making our way today, but we are really built for SMBs on Shopify.
I mean, 1,000 merchants, that's a big number and certainly very impressive, especially given that what you just said, you started very humble with a very simple platform and setup. I would imagine, though, that the timing was kind of perfect, right? You said you started in 2020, just when COVID hit. So a lot of merchants probably were struggling to make sales if they were actually brick and mortar stores that they were driving. Was that an initial catalyst for your business, or was it too early for your business to actually take advantage?
No, actually, we were late on COVID because we really started to be on the market in 2022, and COVID was already slowing down.
Right. Okay.
But the thing is that actually we were watching those friends at Bamboozer and all those very early stage companies, and they were making great at the time. But we were also seeing and hearing about their pricing and the way they were making their own businesses, and we've decided to take a different road, not a road of pricing high for enterprise but pricing very, very low, be very discount, and have a model which would be on shelves, model, which is still the case today. And so actually,
that's very interesting.
Actually, we
Please
learn
go ahead.
from the other, SaaS platform in this industry. I would not say from their mistakes. It would be very pretentious from me, but I would say we were learning from the feedback of their clients.
Right. You mentioned Bamboozer, which actually happens to be based in Stockholm, where I live, so I'm a bit more familiar with them. I also know that Spree, for example, which is Denmark-based, is a major player and probably competitor to you. How would you say you do compared to those? You said you price yourself differently, but in terms of functionality, do you see clear differences, and how do they look like?
I mean, first and foremost, Bamboozer has always been an inspiration for us because the company is very clean and the marketing is very clean and what they're doing is very clean. And in a way, they were the only one to speak loud when it was time to speak loud. And so, in a way, they really built the first iteration of live shopping on e-commerce. And so we were, watching with those big eyes, their first streams all over Europe with those big brands and with LVMH and so on and so on. And they're still a reference for me. Even though today we work with very different, business clients. So they are very much enterprise and I'm very much Shopify. And in the US, I mean, we do not overlap each other, or it's very, very rare, very rare. I don't touch enterprise. I don't do custom. I do one product for one kind of live shopping, and it works this way. So I stick on that, and I don't want to reach enterprise because I know it would be a different, organization, a different pricing, a different probably compliance as well. I don't want to make things complex. I want to remain simple. One click, it works.
Yeah, I think that's super important, especially in the early days of starting a company, that you know who your customer is and who isn't, that you define your niche, and you clearly have done that. I would imagine, though, that in the early days specifically, it was fantastic to have such a company like Bambuser as a reference point, because the industry that you're basically spearheading with
Mm,
LiveMeUp is,
mm,
and back then was so novel, right? I mean, it
mm,
was before TikTok Shop was even a thing,
mm. Yeah.
and live shopping became a much bigger topic nowadays, obviously. But back then, to have a company like Bambuser that is actually succeeding and driving value for their customers must have been
Mm,
great for your
mm.
motivation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I had the chance to talk with their CEO and with their head of business, and those were very inspiring ladies. so no. I mean, it's a great company. It's a very good company. I don't know what they're doing today, by the way, but we respect very much that company in the industry. Yeah, on top of
How
the other company. Mm.
how were the very early days of live shopping? For you, who has lived so many years in China, it must have been a pretty obvious transition that e-commerce would go through eventually in the West, just because of the sheer success that it had in Asia. But I would imagine that at the very beginnings were very difficult to even get customers convinced that this is going to work and that this will drive value and eventually revenue for them. So was it essentially an uphill battle with each customer, or were there early adopters that just believed in this as much as you did?
No, not at all. We had to convince French e-commerce merchants one by one. It was a nightmare. They were always referring to, oh, I know QVC, 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 and we were, no, it's not QVC. It's live shopping. Yes, it's like teleshopping. No, and it was a nightmare. So, I mean, the first year it was horrible because I was reading the numbers in China and I was very much into it, but it was not the story of France. And then across the channel, I went to the UK and I spent hours and hours in the UK. And in the UK, I found way more mature people that really buy in my technology, not my technology, I mean, but what they could do with LiveMeUp. And actually, we really started the business with British customers, British e-commerce, and thanks to them, because they were way more risk taker, and they were not, blocked into one narrative, which was TV shopping. They were way more open, and I'm not surprised, by the way, that TikTok Shop, they choose the UK as their first base in Europe. Because I mean, probably they identified as well that the population there was more mature or more keen to understand the benefit of live shopping. No. So the launch of LiveMeUp in France was a nightmare, and so that's why once I spent a few months in London and traveling all around the UK, I immediately crossed the Atlantic and went to New York. It was 2 years ago, and I took a flight, went to New York. I knew nobody, and I knock at the door and I say, "Look at what we're doing." Yeah, we work with Bambuser. No. We can do as well, and it was tough. It was very tough. And then 2 years on, I live in New York and I grow the company in the US. And I mean, today, I would not lie if I said that 95% of the growth is US driven today for LiveMeUp.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Looking also at the numbers of TikTok Shop and the explosion of live shopping over
Uh,
there. I mean, it must be
uh,
fantastic for someone like you who was such an early believer and had to overcome all these obstacles, all these difficulties that a lot of startup founders have to go against, that now everyone believes in it and everybody
yeah.
sees it as this really valuable new channel of doing e-commerce. Is that
Uh.
satisfying to you, or do you feel like there's still a lot more to be done and there's so much more cool things that can be happening that people don't even realize yet?
The thing is that when you are born in Europe and French by culture, like me, even though I spent 15 years in China, but I'm still French. And so being in the US today, I discovered the pace of business in the US, and I discovered how much the environment is fast. is learning quick, is pivoting fast, and is rich, by the way, compared to us, the startup in France, because, a seed round in France is 500,000, in the US is 5 million. So you don't do the same thing with 5 million compared to 5,000 or 500,000. Yeah, it's very exciting to be in the US. The market is huge. You can go in any state, and any state is twice or 10x the size of any of European countries. So that's fascinating. But in a way, it's wow, where shall I start, and what should I do next? I'm working close to a couple of entrepreneurs today, which are doing the same job as me, developing SaaS product. I'm amazed how strong they are, how fast they are, and they understand the meaning of scalability way better than I do. And so I need to push myself. I need to learn every day to really understand what is scaling a business in the US. And this is not something that you learn when you are in Europe. I don't believe.
Could imagine. What are some of these takeaways that you have learned from other founders in the US in how to conquer the American market?
I don't know. There's no recipe today, because some people, they will tell you it's all organic. Some people, they will tell you it's all driven by meta ads. So there's no rule. I mean, the thing is that one key takeaway in the US is that the market is so huge that you need to build your first years with one ICP and only one ICP, and build a product around that ICP, and build your GTM, go to market, with that ICP. And actually, when we started LiveMeUp, we started with Shopify plus PrestaShop plus Salesforce plus WooCommerce, and then we cut all that. And then Shopify, we say all countries, and then we say US. And then US, we say any kind of businesses. That means cosmetics, health product, blah, 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 apparel and fashion, jewelry, blah, blah. And now we say only one category, only one vertical. And that vertical, today, it's apparel and fashion. And then you have big enterprise, like mostly like brand oriented. And then you have more like boutique oriented. Then you have sellers oriented, different kind of ICP. So we choose one. So now we have only, you imagine the way we've gone in 2 years time, from everything everywhere to only one category in the US on Shopify. But then here we have 100,000 potential clients, and we are just working with less than 1,000. And so the key takeaways in all the US entrepreneurs, they always tell me, Guillaume, are you sure that you are robust enough and rich enough with your first ICP? And the answer is not today. So we still have some way to go in Q1 and Q2 26. But the thing that I was envisioning for 6 months, actually I need to deliver in like 2 months, 3 months. So I need to shorten the time by half. That's the time frame in the US.
Wow. I mean, sounds daunting and challenging and very exciting at the same time. So you went from a very broad scope to narrowing it way down. Do you eventually plan to branch out again? Do you try to win that initial ICP and then go broad again? Or do you see LiveMeUp going forward into the future, focusing even more on apparel and that industry alone?
That's a question that we had this morning with my co-founders and in our strategic meeting, and we've decided to niche down again and again and again on that industry in that country. And so we totally build our go-to-market strategy for 26 around that very same ICP, but we'll go much more deeper into each state in the US.
And is the idea then that you will win by essentially word of mouth within that industry and people knowing you, referring you to other people who work in the same industry? Or is the idea that you build your product to be so customized for that specific industry that it's basically becoming a no-brainer because you have so much additional features, functionalities that serve specifically that client base?
I mean, the boss, to answer to you, Moritz, because yeah, so first one, the go-to-market is a complex equation with multiple variables, which are changing every day. But one thing is that the word of mouth is the most powerful, but not the biggest one in terms of clients acquisition. Shopify Marketplace is a very good acquisition base for us. Some people, they hate it because they think it's a shitty account, but we love it because we have only good account. You don't download live shopping by chance. You download live shopping on Shopify because you've made your research and you know what you want to do. And so you evaluate, and down the road you select one. So this is a very good traction for us. AI search is another very good traction for us, and ChatGPT plays a lot of good things for us, and publicity as well. And that's, all of a sudden we discover that 10% of the traction is coming from ChatGPT. So wow, cool. And then to answer to the second question, which is, are we building the product for that industry? Yes and no. We are always cautious to maintain a product which is accessible for everyone, but for sure we listen carefully to that ICP. But we try to, there's a lot of noise when you listen to your clients, because each client, they expect different features according to their mini problems. Okay, so we need to really filter that, into what's really useful and delivers value, and something that is just comfort and that brings no value to the platform. So we are not blind in the roadmap, and we keep in mind that probably, and that was your earliest question, is within a year or two, we will then reopen the platform to probably different verticals, and at that time the product should be able to cater with everyone. So in a way, we don't customize. We listen carefully, and for sure in the apparel industry, you have some different things to address, like each product has a different size, different color, and so that should be replicated in our technology and so on. But I mean, we have to do that, by the way. But we don't go that far into the custom development for one vertical. That would be a mistake for us.
So let's say I'm a fashion brand. My target audience is Gen Z, so 20-something-year-old men and women. What makes me go with LiveMeUp as opposed to, for example, TikTok Shop, where I know the audience can be vast? Why should I, as a brand, fashion brand, then go with LiveMeUp instead?
I think you should not come to LiveMeUp. You should go to TikTok. You should go to TikTok Shop and build your awareness on TikTok Shop, and build your. If you are specifically dedicated for Gen Z, don't misunderstand the dynamic of the market. So don't. I mean, I don't know. By the way, I don't know if you are that kind of brand, if you have a Shopify or not, and if your Shopify is your first channel or not your first channel. And probably it's not your first channel anymore, because TikTok Shop is your first channel today, in the US at least. And so build everything on TikTok Shop. The only question is, how much do you agree to not to be owner of your business? Because everything you build on TikTok belongs to TikTok. Zero belongs to you. It should be clear. Overnight, you can disappear and be wiped out of the platform because you say a wrong word, or because you say Facebook in a TikTok Shop live stream. Boom, you're off. Bye bye, adios. And another one will replace you, and it's gone forever. So the only question is, do your business on TikTok Shop, and think about what you want to do on your own Shopify. And if your clients, they are Gen Z, what can you create on your Shopify that will appeal to Gen Z? Not that much today, purely Gen Z. Today we were working with the UK clients, selling, some cosmetics for Gen Z. They are super strong in the UK on TikTok Shop. And today at noon, they hosted their first live streaming on their Shopify. It was painful for them to funnel traffic to their Shopify. It was a pain, because it was not like TikTok, you put some ads and boom, they drive to you 100,000 people. So it's another dynamic. You need to learn how to use the email, how to use meta ads, how to. So the question we see today for those brands, I mean, specifically for the Gen Z driven brands, is that they don't have the bandwidth today in the US to build one efficient and working channel on TikTok Shop, plus replicate that with another efficient and working channel on Shopify. It's a lot of job. It's a lot of money. It needs a lot of people. So it's not an easy game. Not an easy game. So my answer maybe would surprise you, but I love to surprise, by the way.
So what you're saying is you basically have to pick and choose your battles. You should not spread yourself too thin and try to do everything, but instead know where your customers are, but then also know, of course, the pros and cons of each route that you can be taking with live shopping. And you certainly have a point there that with relying on a platform, whether it's TikTok Shop or any other social media platform, you do not own your traffic. You do not own your customer eventually. And if there's an algorithm change, or if for whatever reason you fall out of grace with the platform, then you might lose your source of income. Is that certainly it's different when you use LiveMeUp. How much of the data and information from the customers, but also retention, etc., do you provide back to the merchants as opposed to, for example, TikTok Shop Lives?
I mean, we provide so much that the merchants they cannot read that data, and so they don't read the data. And so we are surprised because they always say we want data, but finally they don't use that data. Because live shopping, the thing with live shopping is that it goes fast. It goes very fast. And so you cannot spend an hour every morning to see what you've done the day before. It's impossible. So the only thing that you can appreciate is what is the share of the sales done during live streaming, and is that growing or not? The thing that you can follow is the average order value compared to your normal business. And if you see that your AOV is 1.5 times your regular AOV, that's a sign that you're doing really, really great in live shopping. Especially for the apparel business, when people attend a live stream, they tend to purchase 2 pieces instead of 1 when they are on the website, because they see someone wearing 2 pieces, a top and a bottom, or willing to purchase the set, the outfit, rather than just 1 piece in promotion. So there is one pattern that we see today, and which is powerful, by the way, and very profitable, is that the AOV is 1.5 times higher than the regular website. So if you are 70 US, which is basically an average price on e-commerce today in the US for apparel, you would be 120, 130 during a live stream. That's very good because there's no more effort on your side. So you make double margin. That's one thing. And the second thing that we really recommend the brands to follow carefully is how long do people stay with you in a live stream? And that means how much you are interesting and you are committed with your clients, and how much you care about the discussion, the conversation, and how much that conversation is qualitative. And when people stay below 5 minutes on Shopify, which is already 10 times more than TikTok Shop, by the way, because TikTok Shop people, they stay 20 seconds, 30 seconds maximum, and then they swipe. On Shopify, you do a basic job, you can keep the people 5 minutes. But when you do a good job, you keep the people 20 minutes. And during 20 minutes, people have the time to see most of your product. So they visit your website during the live stream, they talk to you, they get an answer, they socialize with other clients. And so what is viewed as a simple live stream session becomes a social commerce, session. And that changes the whole perspective of what you're doing on your website. It's actually you're hosting your viewers at home. You play at home. I don't know if you like soccer, but you play at home. You're always stronger when you play at home, because it's your stadium, it's your public, it's everything that belongs to you. And so keeping the people with you for 20 minutes, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, it's massive. And it skyrockets the number of hours of viewing on your website. Google like that very much for your SEO. So it's a very good indicator of the performance of your website. And then everything becomes positive, and there's a positive flywheel that you can create. It's not difficult to do. It takes a little commitment and consistency. And probably over the last interview you had with your podcast, people always maintain or people always refer to consistency, whatever TikTok Shop or LiveMeUp or whatever, Spree or Bamboozer. It's because you are consistent over time that you really build something. The first time you go live, there's nobody, or almost nobody, and you should not feel ashamed with that. I mean, it's normal. The first day you open your Instagram, there was nobody except probably your sister and your mother. You know what I mean? And some brands today, they have 100,000 followers because they've done consistent, very good job. And live streaming is a sales channel. It's not cherry on the cake. It's a real sales channel, super efficient, with its own dynamic and risk and pitfalls and so on. But it brings an absolute value to the merchants. So today, some merchants into the D2C industry, they generate 20-30% of their revenue with live streaming, 1 hour per week, that's all. And it's a new sales channel, so it does not jeopardize the original website. It's purely additional growth. It's very profitable. Okay, so it's a no-brainer today. For most of my clients, after the initial stage, which can last up to 4, 5, 6 months, then it becomes a no-brainer.
And is that sort of standard that the clients that you mainly work with go live for maybe 1 hour or 2 hours per week and they stick with that? Or do they try to ramp it up more and more and more because they see it works so well? What is the average customer, if you can say so?
Yeah, it's between once a week and twice a week. And for sure, we have some TikTok-like sellers which are live streaming every day. But I mean, that's the whole business. But I mean, for a brand, going live at least once a week, Tuesday night, Thursday night, releasing the capsule, the drop of the week, the outfit of the week, depending the weather, depending the new product, and so on. You make your commerce very dynamic. Once again, I was born in a very merchant family, and so renewing your shop every week, renewing your window shop every week, it's something that everybody knows when you are born into this industry. And so doing so with live shopping, it gives an echo to your brick and mortar business. And if you are not a brick and mortar and you are purely a digital, renewing your homepage every week, that what makes your business thriving, and some people, they don't get it, and then they keep the same homepage for months and months, even though the season is changing. So no, if you want to be serious and you want to make something out of live shopping and make money with that and grow your business, then you have to be consistent, and it's at least once a week.
And I could totally imagine how having consistency with not only how much you go live and how long you go live, but also when you go live can over time really build a very loyal customer base where people tune in, let's say every Thursday evening, because they know you're going to be live and they enjoy your company. They enjoy hearing news about new product releases and news out of the brand itself. Maybe also a little bit of a glimpse into what is upcoming in the future, especially in our day and age, right, where everything is always available, everything is on demand. You have Netflix, you have YouTube, you have all the social media at the tip of your fingers, and to have something where you have to tune in, otherwise you're not going to be able to watch it later on, might actually be very enticing for a certain clientele.
I could not say it better than you. So yeah, I agree with you. And being consistent, same day, same time. It's the initial, request that we give to our clients, and we ask them to stick to that and to promise that they would do that. And we have so we build some incentives at LiveMeUp to make sure that the clients that are coming to us today, at least for the coming 8 weeks, they will stick to once a week. And when they do that, then they unlock some specific value of the platform. So, we've been understanding that the highest churn for us is after the first live. In a way, because the people, they found it impossible to do, and it was a big nightmare for them. Either way, because there was nobody. So they are very, very, angry to me or maybe themselves because there's nobody. I mean, and say that they don't know why on TikTok they have 100,000 viewers and on Shopify they have 20 viewers. And so, yeah. So the people which are calm with that and can once again commit over time, we give them incentive. I can't say that, but it works well. And so it makes the people patient and take the reasonable step to learn and grow their live streaming campaign.
And how do you then help brands go to a reasonable amount of viewers within those 8 weeks? Because comparing to social media, where you just post regularly and then the algorithm does the work for them to a certain extent, that's not really how it works when it's your own website, right? You do have to make sure that you publicize it. You have to make sure that you have some kind of funnel, ideally, that probably drives traffic to those events. You have to post on possibly other channels like social media to make sure people are aware that this is happening. What are your recommendations for brands to do make sure that they do get that audience built over the period of 8 weeks, let's say?
We have a one pager PDF with the recommendation. Those recommendations, they are made of thousands of live streams and insights and results. But it does not mean that the merchant, they will follow that. Okay. And so the question is that I don't have the control of, are they doing really that to maximize the chance to bring traffic to their website. And as long as they are not really totally, involved in this program, it won't happen. And there will be, oh, I forgot to send my newsletter. Yeah, but that's the number one, channel acquisition. So actually the thing is that there's no magic recipe except the notification. So the notification is something that is robust. So we have an integration with Klaviyo, and when the live is opening, then boom, we push to Klaviyo, and Klaviyo pushes the SMS or the marketing mail. And so that works because even the merchant has nothing to do. It's just automation. And the more you provide automation in this industry, the better you are and the stronger you are. But then we have to partner with a lot of different, SMS partners, marketing mail partners. And so some people, they're not working with Klaviyo, they're working with MailChimp and da. So it's a never ending story, and we don't want to lose our mind into that one. So yeah, it's always moving step by step into that direction. But I want to emphasize one thing. When we started LiveMeUp, we were thinking that the product and the platform, would be a self-service and self-used by the clients. It's definitely not the case. Live shopping is a heavy maintenance SaaS platform, and that is probably what discouraged so many players in this industry, and why we were like 20 of us 2 years ago, and we are just remaining probably less than 10 today, not to say 5, 6, 7. It's because the time you got to spend with your client 5 minutes before their live stream, 1 hour before, the day after, because they forget that, they don't know how to do that, and that. It's a never-ending story. And so actually the learning for me is that instead of having a sales team, I'm having an incredible support team, which is working round the clock, 7 days a week. You cannot imagine how much we work on the weekend, even us, the French guy. But we have no choice. If you want to grow in this industry of live streaming, you got to be available when your clients are live streaming, and they are live streaming Sunday afternoon. You're available Sunday afternoon. But I'm very surprised by how much the clients, they are not totally independent. They need help. And actually, I'm talking with people at TikTok Shop in the US and in China then. And even TikTok Shop, they have an incredible amount of customer success, customer support people team, which are working in the back end, that you never see, front end, you never see on the stage. But actually, every day, every week, they're taking the phone and say, hey, what's your live stream this afternoon? What are you going to sell? Are you ready? Are you sure you will make it? I would recommend doing so. And so that's a very, very high maintenance industry, which is not the case for many SaaS platforms. And so we had to rebuild the structure of our team and where we put our money today to deliver what kind of value. But that's a real learning.
Do you work with agencies as well that maybe even specifically focus on LiveMeUp as a tool and then facilitate your clients with getting everything set up, making sure the equipment is right, making sure the stage looks good, make sure the lighting is okay, all those little details that surely your clients are not fully aware of before they get into live shopping for the first time. I imagine that it's, as you said, incredibly hard to get all of these nuances and all these different levers in place before you go live for the first time. So do you have agencies on the ground that are specialized in that, or do you do most of your support through the support team that you mentioned?
To make it short, we don't have partner agencies because we do not make them rich by doing live shopping. So I thought at the beginning of the story 2 years ago that Shopify agency, they would be interested in live shopping to make money, on top of our platform. Actually, they don't understand the dynamic, or they don't want to commit to the dynamic as well. And I can understand why. Everybody has its own trajectory, and c'est la vie. So no worry with that. But the thing is that I would not say I have no value for them. They see what we do, but they don't see how they can make money in that new business, or they understand that it's not something that they control today. So they don't dare to say to their clients, yeah, we're gonna take the lead with live streaming, because probably we would be way better than them. And that was until a couple of months ago, and a few months ago, because going deep into some certain US states where you have an incredible e-commerce life that is not on the radar of anyone, I met with some marketing agency, Klaviyo agency, which surprisingly were very interested by what we were doing. And so they're helping us, but it's not Shopify agency. It's not e-commerce agency. It's more like marketing agency. And so, yeah, it's a reset as well for me. And I'm doing great job with a couple of them. And I don't want to spread myself too thin with those. So 2, 3, and we'll see where we go. And if they're happy with me and me with them, and our clients happy, then probably I will build a strategy with those agency, but not today. It's a little bit too early.
Yeah, I think it could be a great setup if you have agencies that are really passionate about live shopping and what you're trying to build through LiveMeUp. At the same time, I do see how Shopify agencies have a core competence that are very different from what is necessary to create a successful live event. Do you see good successes with, let's say, amateurs being the hosts of these events, or do you feel like for most brands it actually makes sense to get professionals come and actually host the event? I've been talking to a professional live selling host a couple of weeks ago on my podcast. She's doing great events for L'Oreal, but she told me all the work that goes into preparing for these mega events. And I was just thinking, there's no way that someone who's not doing this professionally could ever do it at that level. What is your experience on that level?
My experience is that we're working with SMBs. We're not working with L'Oreal. SMBs, generally speaking, they belong to a founder. So that founder is the soul and the brain of the company. Our clients, which are founder led, they're doing great. They talk on the camera, and it's their business. And so everything that they've built, brick and mortar in digital, it's them, totally them. And their clients, they identify to them, and the brand is them as well. So so it works very well when it's founder led, for sure. Founder led content is amazing, and I would say it's not counterintuitive, but I mean, the more authentic possible, the better it is. And so some people, they live stream from their kitchen with their kids around, and the dog is appearing behind the camera. And I mean, it humanizes the brand, and it makes things very funny, and actually it makes the conversation amazing, and it makes your clients, even closer to you. So and so the people, they're always afraid to be natural. They think that they should have face and something very much prepared before going live. I mean, with a smartphone, I mean, I can bring you live in 2 minutes on your Shopify, Moritz, and you will be who you are, an amazing guy, telling your story, and I would buy in your story. So I would buy your product, and I would follow you as an inspiration and whatever. So, and that dynamic is exactly the same that TikTok Shop is seeing today. TikTok Shop in China, it was a story of influencer which were saying nothing about the brand. They were just pushing the price and making fun about the product, but it was not serious, But in the US today, what is working very well are those content creators which are really into the brand, using the product and making real analysis of the product and real live streaming or shoppable video about the product. And that works very well. So it's the same for live shopping on Shopify. The dynamic is the same. Is as long as you say something true and you really take the time to explain your product and so on, it works very well.
Yeah, that's actually a great dynamic, I feel, in e-commerce these days, that more and more brands are being built about being honest as a founder, being authentic, and resonating with your audience with all your imperfections and all the things
Exactly.
that normally you would maybe not expect on social media, because everything is photoshopped and everything is supposed to look as if it's like magic, perfect.
Mm,
No worries, no
mm.
hiccups, no dogs running around in the background and kids screaming, as you just said. Um, but that's life, right? And we all know that that's life. We all know that what we see on Instagram is not often realistic. So I can totally see how that would resonate with the customers.
And this is something that L'Oreal would hate, by the way. So they need a perfect script, a perfect setup, and no hiccup, as you say. And so that's why we are not the platform today to work with them. And I mean, because it's not what we see as a success today. And it's interesting to see how much L'Oreal is trying to make it happen on TikTok Shop. Because by the way, things do not belong to them, you know. And so it's fun. and I'm sure that those guys, they are very smart. And when I talk about L'Oreal, about this industry at large. Those people, they are very smart. And so they will learn how much they can rely on content creator to explore different narrative and different way of reaching different audiences. And then live shopping will become a no-brainer as well. But it's going to take time because those brands, they are scripted by marketing people, which are ultra demanding. And live shopping is something that goes in the opposite way. You know, you cannot be ultra demanding with live shopping. You got to be ultra natural and to be in ultra confidence. So it will come down the road because TikTok Shop will make this job of educating the brand, educating the agencies, and so on. And so live shopping will then become a thing. But what took 10 years to become massive in China, and not 10 years. Okay, honestly, it took 5 years to become massive in China. It's going to take 10 to 15 years in Western economies for sure. So we're still just at the beginning.
How do you think about the role that TikTok Shop plays within live shopping? I mean, as I said, you were launching LiveMeUp before TikTok Shop was a thing in the West. Now, a lot of people, certainly within e-commerce, are talking about it and are discussing how far it can take live shopping and social commerce as a whole. Do you see it as a net positive for
Mm,
live shopping that they have
mm,
publicized it as much as they
mm,
have, or do you
mm.
see it more as something that is just so dominant that it's, at least to a certain extent, making it harder for smaller companies like yours to actually succeed within live shopping?
No, I don't think so. And to tell you, Moritz, this morning I was in a chat with a French young lady which has a cosmetic brand, and she is on TikTok Shop in France, which opened like 8 months ago. And then she reached out to me and said, "Guillaume, I need to talk to you because now I understand the dynamic of TikTok, which are amazing, but I understand as well the limit of TikTok. But I understand the power of live shopping. So now I want to make that on my Shopify because I know exactly what I'm going to do live streaming on TikTok and what I'm going to do live streaming on my Shopify." Bravo, bravo, bravo. Thank you, TikTok. Thank you, everybody.
And do you see that continue, that more and more people get educated about live shopping
Yeah.
through TikTok Shop to some
Mm.
extent and then find
Yeah.
you as a consequence?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Definitely. Totally.
Yeah, I can totally see that happening, especially with what you said about different brands having different needs. You're not trying to serve L'Oreal, and they're probably not looking for your services either. So it's not something that is meant to be. But then there are a lot of other brands that are looking exactly for what you're offering, and it's
Mm.
fantastic
Yeah.
that that can coexist in this ecosystem.
Mm.
Is that
I
also
agree.
something that you have seen in China when you were still working and living there, or was it only the very large infrastructure? Social media companies that dominated everything.
No, it's not the same. It's not the same market. You know, there's not Shopify or Salesforce e-commerce in China. I mean, China is driven by 5 big marketplaces. You know, Taobao, Pinduoduo, WeChat, and so on. And so they control the market of e-commerce. You know, only 5 of them. Um, so it's not the same infrastructure. It's not the same thing behind. So uh, it's totally different. You know, totally different. Not the same perspective.
And how do you see the live shopping market and industry develop going forward? I mean, you've seen what it looked like in China, and I'm sure you're still following very closely. So you kind of can, to a certain extent, look into the future of what is probably going to happen here in the West as well. What are your expectations, and what can we expect going into 26 and also beyond?
So when I'm asked about this question, I try not to tell an answer which is in favor of my company, because that would be a bias in the narrative. I think there's still a long way to go, a very, very long way to go. The global infrastructure is not ready for that. When I talk about infrastructure, it's what we said before: agencies, tech, entrepreneur, finance people, marketing people, So I see that. I see a paradox. I would tell you in the US. It's that people like you and I, all generations, they are craving for video and craving for live shopping and craving for live videos, whatever it's on YouTube, on Instagram Reels, or on TikTok Shop today, or on my client's business. So people are there. So the paradox is that the industry is not ready. The clients are ready. Industry is not ready at all, because they still see that as something complex, expensive, costly, difficult, complicated, all negative words. And so the industry at large is not ready yet. Shopify is not ready. Nobody's ready. So there are a couple of marketplaces which are doing great. Whatnot. We never talk about Whatnot, but they are doing really, really great in the US. And I suggest you, if not done yet, to invite someone from Whatnot. You will discover an incredible world. Palm Street, with a focus on plants and animals, is doing really, really great. So invite someone from Palm Street. You will hear a very different story from a direct competitor to TikTok Shop. Not really me, but TikTok Shop. And so I mean, people are generally speaking ready for live and video, and industry is at large not ready. Amazon is still searching its soul and its reason of being in this live streaming thing. They're making things, they're trying, discovering, touching, but they're not yet there at all. Nobody's yet there, except TikTok Shop. So TikTok Shop does not fit with everyone. No, there's still a long way to go, and we still need a lot of people to be convinced that they want to shake things and make that happen, because in the street people are ready. So that's the paradox today of live streaming. I mean, view from my US perspective today.
Do you, as the CEO of LiveMeUp, do any moves to move the stone forward and actually make it happen in the long run, that the industry gets to a place where we can say, okay, they're ready, and now we have the boom that we already saw happen in Asia a long time ago. What are your big bets that you're taking on the company's level to actually bring features, services, maybe also information to the market that drives things forward?
Yeah, but this is not the paradox of the market. This is paradox of a startup, which is always rich of its insights and knowledge and data and so on, and poor of the capability to bring that on a massive scale to the market. And it always relates to the scale of your business and to the money that you can make, or that the money that you can inject with fresh capital. And so it's always this paradox of I know how I can move things, but we're still a company of 12 people, and almost 13 people. We're not a company of 10,000 people. So we have a clear vision of what should be done and how we can play our role in that vision. But still, it's a little stone by little stone. And the thing is that I would like to move the needle big stone by big stone, but I know it's before moving big stones, I need to move a lot of small stones. So that's a paradox. Now I'm not really used to live with. I would not say that, because sometimes I feel really frustrated by how much energy we're pouring into that for the result that it's driving. And probably many people which are pioneer, but okay, once again, I'm very humble with that, people which are pushing for a new business, I think they have this sense of feeling of being too early, or being too lonely doing that. And one thing that I can regret today in this industry, and I pass the message on your podcast because you invite very smart people here, is that even though we are not that many companies today building this next to TikTok Shop, we are not that many today. You can count probably less than 10 people, seriously. But we do not speak to each other, and we do not help each other growing this pie. Sometimes we fight against each other for a pie which is so narrow that it's stupid, you know. We fight for 1% when there's still 99 to conquer. And so, honestly, we would be stronger in being together to conquer the market versus being fighting against each other. But I said that, and hopefully, I will receive a phone call next week from someone in your environment saying, "Guillaume, you are nuts or what?"
I mean, for me, it's exciting to also see that actually European companies are doing disproportionately well in this market. It seems
Agree.
we mentioned Bambuser and Spree based here in Northern Europe, and then LiveMeUp at least partially based in France. So, Guillaume, I cannot let you go without actually asking you about the state of European live shopping and how you view that as a fellow European. Do you feel like US and Europe, at least in the stage of development, are sort of on par? Do you feel like Europe is lagging behind, at least when it comes to TikTok Shop? That's certainly true. What is your impression, Europe versus the rest of the Western world?
I mean, the US is 5 years ahead of the of the European markets, and because the merchants they have a risk acceptability which is way higher than the European merchants. So it's not a problem of technology, it's not a problem of entrepreneur. Because you mentioned Spree, you mentioned Bambuser, but you can talk about Lisa. She's doing a great job today. I don't know if you ever talked to her, but they are amazing, you know. And but we're doing totally different businesses. I mean, we have the people and we have the capability of moving the needles, you know, and not on a small scale. But the thing is that, you know, honestly, when you talk to a French client or I don't know, a Belgian client, you need 6 months to 1 year to convert them, and when it took 10 minutes with a US based client. So once again, the momentum that you can build with your tech is definitely not the same. Nothing wrong with one case or the other case, you know. It's so much, you know, anchored in each business culture of the US versus the Europe that it's there's no way to compare that. Okay, there's no way. And the dynamic of the countries are different, or the zone are different, regions are different. So just the thing with LiveMeUp is that we haven't turned our back to France by relocating myself to New York. And it's important to say that because my tech team is a French one and they are very, very talented. And I don't expect to outsource anyone from France because they work well in French and I mean, they deliver an amazing product. And so today, our 26th year will be, we have something to understand is how to build a startup with one part of the team in France within this French market and dynamic, and the rest being in the US, where acceleration and scale is the motto for every day. Every day you need to scale, you need to grow, you need to push, you need to go faster. And so that's the difficult point. So we haven't turned our back to France, not at all. France is still, 50% of the people, and I'm talking with France every day. And we have clients in France and new clients every day from France. So it's very cool. But yeah, it's true that we spread ourselves today in between two different business mindset and acceleration dynamic.
Well, I'm sure you're going to be able to adopt the best of both worlds and like actually take what is working very well in France and in the rest of Europe, and then apply that to the fast pace and the dynamism of the US. And I think that will definitely be a winning formula in the long run. Guillaume, thanks so much for coming on. It was really a pleasure talking to you and discussing live commerce with you and live shopping. I'm super excited to see companies like yours build the future there and thriving. For people who are interested in getting in contact with you and getting in contact with LiveMeUp as a customer, where can they best find you?
I mean, LinkedIn is the best one, Guillaume Faure, and probably you will share my LinkedIn profile in your podcast. That's an easy one. And after we have the website, livemeup.io, where there is a live chat and everybody can ask a question in that chat, book a demo with me. We're behind. And I would love to speak to your audience. And thank you a lot for having me, Moritz. It was a pleasure. And you're doing a great job. So congratulations.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much for coming on.